So, guys, you're thinking about picking up Starfield in the next couple weeks, and you want to know what are the best backgrounds that you can choose for your first playthrough. That's what this video is going to be providing. I'm going to be ranking each specific background. Right now, we know there's 20 backgrounds in the game, and we know basically the details on 16 of them to varying degrees. But I think we know enough, guys, for me to be able to tell you what I think will be good when you're starting out in the game and what I would not recommend for your first playthrough. So let's get right into it. For those of you that want to skip around, this whole video is chaptered and timestamped, so you can go to each specific background that you're interested in. That's just there for your viewing convenience. So let's start out with the first background. So an important note about backgrounds, guys, is that each background will give you 3 skills that you can use. So you're going to get a point in each of these 3 skills, and it's going to affect how the world treats you. So, for instance, if you're a chef, which is the first background we're going to be talking about, the world is going to treat you different than, let's say, if you're a cybernetics expert. So that's an important note. So it's not just the skills you get, it's also how people are going to react to you. So I wanted to make that clear. Let's jump into the first background, which is the chef, guys. So the chef, what do I think about it? I think the chef is probably around a C tier background, in my opinion. I'm going to be putting it in the C tier. Why? Let's look at the starting skills that it actually is going to give you. Gastronomy, craft, specialty food and drinks, research recipes at the research lab. That's going to be somewhat good, but guys, I don't think this is like a top tier skill. We have dueling, melee weapons deal 10% more damage, and we have wellness, immediately gain 30 points of health. The problem is, I think, with this, when you don't have percent, when it's like 30 points of health and you don't have an actual percentage, I think this is going to be weaker. This may be good in the very early part of the game, but it's going to fall off rapidly. I think also one thing you have to really think about on chef is that how is people going to treat you in the world that you're a chef? It may not give you the type of impact that you're wanting. It's definitely not going to be the most exciting background, and that's why I'm putting it specifically in seed tier. I also think in a lot of Bethesda games, melee options are not as good as ranged options because a lot of times the AI is dumb. And if you look at like Skyrim, if you look at a lot of games, if you look at like Fallout, a lot of times it's much better to hit from range than it is to actually engage one-on-one melee. So in my personal opinion, I would not recommend Chef. And if it's your first time playing the game, probably give Chef a skip until a second playthrough. Let's take a look at the combat medic, guys. What do I think about the combat medic? I think the combat medic is going to be a solid A tier ranking. I think it's going to be solid. Here's why. We have a pistol certificate. Pistols do 10% more damage. We have medicine. Med packs heal 10% more. And weightlifting, increase total carrying capacity by 10 kilograms. Every single one of these starting skills is good. You know, pistols, a lot of times, pistols you're going to get at the start of a game. This is very, very common, where heavier weapons you're going to get towards a later part of the game. So because you get a pistol certificate and you already get 10% more damage with pistols right from the get-go, I think this is a very, very strong situation. Medicine, med packs heal 10% more. Obviously, you're going to be healing a lot in game unless you're playing like a really stealthy character. I think combat medic is a really, really solid option. You know, you're also increasing your carrying capacity. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people really love to grab all the loot, like literally vacuum up all the loot you can. I like to do that too. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the truth. It's something a lot of people like. Combat medic, I also think is going to be one of those things where the relationship people are going to have with you is probably a little bit more organic and a little bit more natural than something like chef. So I think combat medic could be a really good option for your first playthrough, and that's why I'm putting it in A tier. But let's look at even the better options here. So let's go on, and now we're going to be tackling Cyberrunner. What do I think about Cyberrunner? It gives you a stealthier, kind of sneakier type of feel. So if we look, what do you get? You get pistol certificate, which is what we talked about above in the last one. We get security. You can attempt to hack advanced locks, and 2 auto attempts can be banked, and you get persuasion. Now, I think, guys, this is going to be probably an S tier background. I think a lot of people are going to be using it. I'm going to put it in the S tier. The reason is exactly as before that I talked about. Pistol certificate, you're going to get pistols in the early part of the game. I really think this is going to be good because it's going to give you a little bit of boost in the early game. Security. One of my favorite things to do in Bethesda games is to be able to actually like sneak around and basically get through places that I'm not supposed to. I think security is going to open a lot of doors for you, both figuratively and literally. I think it's a really, really good skill to pick up early. And then we have persuasion, increased chance of success on speech challenges. If you've been playing a lot of recent RPGs like Baldur's Gate 3, and if you have, definitely check out my channel because I have a lot of content for it. But persuasion is one of the most important skills that you can have on a character. I think Cyberrunner, if you look at it, is really a absolute total package. You can attempt to hack advanced locks, you get increased persuasion, and you also get pistol certification where you get that advantage with pistols, which is probably going to be one of the most common weapons you're going to be playing with in the early game. Let's also think about that Cyberrunner is going to be something that's going to probably be very cool. People are going to be actually engaging with you in a very exciting way. Like, because you're a Cyberrunner, guys. Who doesn't want to be that, you know? So I think if you think of like those Cyberpunk 2077 kind of feels, if you want to have like a really cool playthrough, honestly, Cyberrunner is one of the best choices you can make for your first playthrough, and I would highly recommend it. Let's move on. So next up, we are going to be going to Cyberneticist. So Cyberneticist, what does this basically do? It gives you advantages against robots and mechanical enemies. So think about this as hacker. When they say Cyberneticist, you can just really boil this down, guys. The TLDR hacker. So what do you get? Medicine, med packs heal 10% more. Robotics, you get 10% more damage to robots and turrets. Laser weapons do 10% more damage. What do I think about this? Honestly, guys, I think this is probably going to be like in the C tier. Why do I think this? Cyberneticist, it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that I think is good. So you do not have your pistol certification. You get increased damage with laser weapons. This is probably going to be quite strong in the mid game or late game because a lot of times you get laser weapons. If you look at like Fallout games, a lot of the laser weapons you get are a little bit later into the game. I think Starfield's going to be quite the same. You're probably going to be dealing with pistols before lasers. So this is going to help you more as the game goes on. Robotics, more damage to robots and turrets. I have a feeling that humanoid enemies are going to be a little bit more common in the early game. Most of the time in these type of games, when they put robots, it's a little bit more advanced enemies, guys. So I think this dealing 10% damage is probably going to help you again more in the mid game. I don't think this is super good for your first playthrough. Medicine packs heal 10% more damage. This is why it's not in the D or F tier, because this is actually a very useful skill. Also, I think the Cyberneticist, just in the social perspective, could be interesting in terms of a playthrough. You're definitely going to have something kind of, an interesting dialogue options when you're talking to people. So it's not terrible, but it's not great, guys. I would not recommend it for your first playthrough. Save this for a following playthrough, and let's move on to the next background. So now we're going to be going to Diplomat, guys. Diplomat. What do I think about it? I think Diplomat is extremely good. We're going to be putting it right in the S tier. Why do I think it's good? In a lot of these games, guys, a lot of RPGs, just like Baldur's Gate 3, actually being able to talk and persuade people is extremely good. Now, let's look at our starting skills. You get persuasion, gain an increased chance of success on speech challenges. You get diplomacy. You can force a target NPC at or below your level to stop fighting for a while. Now, it's important to note on diplomacy, if you level the skill up, I've looked into it, you can actually force people above your level to stop fighting. So this is quite strong. This is going to upgrade as the game goes on into something that's very, very useful. So I think diplomacy is a absolute S tier skill, and I think it's going to be really useful. So Diplomat, we're already starting to see, is really strong. We have persuasion, which I talked about earlier in the video, and how good it can be. We have diplomacy, and then bargaining. Buy items for 5% less and sell for 10% more. Now, why is this important, guys? A lot of times in Bethesda games, there's easy ways to generate infinite money by basically tricking the NPC like vendors, the market vendors, and basically buying for a set price and selling for a set price, and basically continuing this into an auto loop. So I bet Diplomat, like I highly suspect Diplomat is going to have some broken way to generate infinite money or a large amount of money quickly. So I would highly recommend you play Diplomat. I think there's probably only a couple backgrounds that I would put in the S tier, and check each one in the video for that. But honestly, Diplomat, if you want a really TLDR, I think if you're not a combat oriented background, like if you want to talk more, Diplomat is probably going to be your best single option in this whole list. I think bargaining is going to be really, really good. So let's move on. But yes, Diplomat S tier. So now we're going to go to Explorer. What do I think about Explorer? Guys, I think Explorer is going to honestly be in the D tier, guys. The first one in the D tier. Why do I think that to be the case? Laser weapons. We've already talked about this in the earlier part of the video. I don't want to rehash myself. They're going to be helpful in the mid to late game. They're probably not going to help you in the first 5 to 7 hours of the game. I don't think it's a great starting skill to pick up. I think that you're probably not going to have access to a lot of the weapons that, laser weapons are going to help you that much. What do we get next? We get Astrodynamics, decrease grab jump fuel cost. Maybe okay. We don't really know how much this is going to affect. And then we get surveying. This is probably going to give you some boost when you actually go and survey new planets. We don't really know what this does yet. But honestly, it's probably going to be nominal, guys. Explorer, this is just not that great, guys. I don't think this is going to be super good. This is kind of a generic one. I think this is targeting people in the game that just like to kind of go to different planets, look around. But honestly, you want to have skills at the start of the game and in your background, guys, that are going to be applicable right away, that are helping you in the first 7 to 8 hours of the game. Because realistically, you're going to be picking up skills later on. You're going to be able to get all this stuff anyway. Why would you invest in something that's going to help you in the mid game when you're not even going to be using it for the first 10 to 20 hours? That's my logic. I don't think Explorer is good. Let's move on. Now, it's important to know after this, guys, we don't have specific skills for these backgrounds. I want you to know that. So everything that I'm going to be saying from this point is going to be a bit of guesswork, but I honestly think we can kind of data mine a lot from this. I think we can definitely make some strong assumptions. And let's go on to Beast Hunter. So Beast Hunter's exact skill set is unknown, but we suspect it will reward you from stalking your prey and taking them out quickly and cleanly. If we had to guess, the Beast Hunter will give you points in stealth and other physical or combat categories. What do I think about Beast Hunter? Just from the description and what we do know about Beast Hunter, I don't think Beast Hunter is going to be super, super good. I mean, you're obviously playing a stealth character, so you're kind of playing like a thief, just in terms of how it's going to work out. But I don't super think Beast Hunter is going to be super great. And we're going to put this in C tier. I just probably would not suggest picking this up for your first playthrough. I don't think it's going to be a super exciting background. I think if they would have called it like Bounty Hunter, maybe that would be better. But come on, guys. Like, do you really want to play as like a Beast Hunter in a space sci-fi game? I don't want to. That's for sure. I don't want to. Let's go on to Bouncer. Bouncer, I think, guys, could be an A tier. Could be A tier. Could be actually quite good. Why do I think Bouncer is good? Because we probably are going to get Intimidation. Now, along with Persuasion, I mean, obviously this is kind of going into a Mass Effect, good versus evil, or an alignment system, whatever you want to say. I think that Intimidation is the counterpoint to Persuasion, of course. And if you want to play as a more aggressive character, if you want to be alpha, if you want to take control, which I love to play in games, I think that, if you like Mass Effect, like Renegade playthrough, Bouncer is probably for you guys. I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people. I think it maybe isn't S tier, but I think it's going to be quite strong, and I think it's going to be quite a good skill set probably for most people. We're going to be getting a lot from the combat tree, and I think picking things that are focused on diplomacy or intimidation and combat is a really strong idea for the start of the game. I just think that is super good. So let's move on after Bouncer. So we're going to be going to Bounty Hunter. Now, Bounty Hunter, guys, remember what I was saying earlier about Beast Hunter. Bounty Hunter is just a straight up upgrade to Beast Hunter. So there's really no reason to ever play Beast Hunter because you're probably going to do Bounty Hunter instead. Now, because of the whole Mandalorian thing, because bounty hunters are really cool in like Star Wars and other franchises, I think this is going to be quite popular. I think definitely tracking down bounties across the galaxy, guys, sounds pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna be putting this in a solid A tier. I don't know if I would put it in S tier personally, because I think there are better options, and I'm gonna be covering some of those, and I've already covered some of those. But realistically, I think Bounty Hunter sounds super cool. We know we're probably going to get some sort of hacking related skills, and we know we're probably going to get some sort of combat related skills. So both of these options I think are quite good. The only problem about Bounty Hunter, in my opinion, is we're probably not going to get like speech related skills. We may get intimidation. Who knows? But I doubt it. And I really suggest for your first playthrough to have at least persuasion or intimidation, some sort of speech based skill. Bargaining would also be good. So I don't think this is as good as, let's say, options like the diplomat or maybe the bouncer. That's more debatable, but definitely not as good as like the diplomat or the cyber runner. Let's go on to the gangster, guys. What do I think about the gangster? Gangster, it's kind of hard, guys. I don't think this is too good. I have to honestly put this in the B tier. Like, let's put this in the B tier. Why do I think the gangster isn't going to be good? You're probably going to get skills related to like thieving. You're probably going to be actually getting skills that actually help you to steal in the game. But ultimately, guys, I don't think that the gangster is going to be a background that's going to appeal to a lot of people. It's kind of a little bit like, white bread. It's kind of very bland. You're probably going to get like theft. Don't you want to be a thief? Don't you want to be like a assassin or something? Just being a gangster, guys, I feel like a lot of the dialogue options that you're going to have may be a little bit boring. It's not terrible. I can't put it in D tier, but I just don't think it's that exciting, guys. To be honest with you, I don't think it's super exciting. Let's move on from gangster. So now we're going to be going on into the homesteader, guys. What do I think this will be? Homesteader, guys, bores me really, really bad. I think Homesteader is one of the few classes or the backgrounds that I'm going to be putting into D tier. And when I say classes, guys, it's because backgrounds are basically what amounts to classes in most other games like Baldur's Gate 3. So when you hear background, you're getting specific skills. Your character is going to be interacting with people in a specific way. So it's very much like a class. So Homesteader, boring, guys. I just don't think it makes much sense to take this. What are you going to be getting? You're going to be getting probably tiers that like, I'm going to gain bonuses from food, and I'm going to be able to build outposts better and things of that nature. Even though the outpost system is really cool in this game, and I'm definitely going to be making a video talking about that, I really do not believe that this is good at all, and I would highly suggest you do not play this for your first playthrough. I think Homesteader may be, honestly, one of the worst backgrounds in Starfield, and I just don't think this is going to be popular. I don't see why you would ever play Homesteader. Let's move on from this terrible, terrible class. So now we're going into the Industrialist. The Industrialist could be good. I'm going to put this in like the B tier, and there's kind of an asterisk with this one. So why I would say B tier with asterisks is that if you get things like bargaining, which is very possible, we don't know exactly which skills you're going to get, this could be really good. The Industrialist will probably also have some sort of diplomacy skill. And like I said, persuasion and intimidation, I think, are going to be really strong in this game. I've already talked about the power of bargaining. If you haven't seen that, definitely go back in the early part of the video, because realistically, bargaining, I think, will allow you to probably get infinite money. Almost all of these Bethesda games have some form of glitch where basically by using bargaining, you can buy a certain item and then sell to another person and basically abuse the vendor system to earn more and more and more cash. I think being an industrialist could make a lot of sense. The reason I don't put it in A or S tier is I think a lot of people, it's not going to jive with them from more of a social perspective. I don't know if you're going to like the dialogue options for an industrialist, but I may actually play as one of these in one playthrough. It won't be my first, but definitely could make a guide on industrialist. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you want to see that, because I think this could be a really cool role play option. And I kind of like the idea of playing as an industrialist just to see how it plays out in game. I also think this is something that with with mods being added into the game, could be something really, really cool. So yeah, industrialist, it has me interested. That's why I put it in B tier, but I put an asterisk because I think in terms of interest, it could be like an S tier pick. But in terms of just if it's your first playthrough, I can't recommend it over other options like the Diplomat. Let's move on. Long hauler. What do I think about the long hauler? It just doesn't give enough, guys. Remember, we have talked in this video so many times about what do I think is important, and I'm thinking that it's important to have skills that help you in the start of the game. Being able to carry more cargo in your ship, which is probably what this is going to entail, it just doesn't seem to me to be that strong. I don't think it's something that you want to be picking up at the start of the game. You're probably going to be able to upgrade your ship unless you're doing a really mining oriented, like going to planets, getting resources, coming back, selling those resources. Unless you're really focused on the economic side of the game, and that's what makes the game fun for you, I cannot see long hauler being a good option. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It's also going to be, I feel, quite boring in dialogue. Like, are you really going to be that interested in dialogue where your background is you're a long hauler? Maybe your family was like a mining family. Personally, guys, there's just so many options that are quite strong in this game and are going to be so interesting in order of interacting with people. I just don't think this one really is there, in my opinion. So I'm going to be passing on long hauler, and I suggest you do as well. Let's move on. We're going to be going on to the Pilgrim. Pilgrim, it is an enigma. So they describe it as an enigma. The thing about the Pilgrim is it's probably going to get skills to like be able to make outposts better. So we're probably going to be seeing something very similar to the Homesteader, in my opinion. Because a Pilgrim, if you think about it, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about somebody that's going into new planets, that's basically setting up shop, that's colonizing a new place. So I bet there's going to be a lot in regards to the outpost system and like buffs for that. Personally, guys, a Pilgrim, it sounds very, very, very bland to me. I can't really give this above a C. I don't think you should pick this as your first playthrough. I just think it's not going to be that exciting. I think Pilgrim is just kind of a little bit boring. It may have skills that are okay, but with so many great options in this game, you have 20 backgrounds, guys. Save this for a later playthrough. It's just not going to be that engaging. You're not going to want dialogue, guys, where you're basically a pilgrim and you're going to be talking to other people about, living out on a planet. I also think it doesn't really make sense with the themes of the game. If you think about it, of like you're going to other planets, you're meeting people, you're solving quests. Pilgrim makes me think you're going to another planet and then setting up shop there and living. And that's basically what a pilgrim is. So that doesn't really make sense to me in game. I just don't think this background, maybe it's like your parents were pilgrims to a planet and you have a background of like being on an outpost planet for the majority of your life. So I can kind of see it, but I just don't think, guys, that it's going to engage with people that much. Let's move on. We're going to be going to the Professor. What do I think about the Professor? I think the Professor could be a solid A tier option. The reason I think the Professor could be good is we know that you're going to be getting a lot of tech. You're going to be getting a lot of tech upgrades and things of that nature. Tech skills, science skills. I think, honestly, playing as a Professor could be really, really cool. I think it's definitely pulls me in and makes me really excited about playing the game. I think some of the dialogue that you might get, if you're more of an intelligence-based character, like if you like playing games where your intelligence is maxed, obviously picking Professor could be a good option. I also think that anything that like maybe allows you to identify components or something. Let's say you're mining or you're picking up components from a planet. Maybe if you're a Professor, you can analyze those easier. You can sell them for more. I think there could be economic and also social benefits to picking this particular background. And I'm quite interested in it. It's not in my S tier because there's several other options I feel are better. But I think Professor is a good option and you should consider it, especially if you're going for more of a speech/science playthrough and you're trying to avoid combat in the majority of cases. I think Professor could be a good option. Let's move on to the last background we're going to be covering, which is the RONIN. Guys, I don't think it really has to be said here. This is an S tier background. The RONIN, I think, will probably be one of the most popular backgrounds when the game launches. I am not even hesitating. I can say that I wouldn't bet money, but I would highly, highly believe that this is going to be probably a top 3 background to pick. You're going to probably get some very combat-oriented skills. You're probably going to also be able to intimidate people. I highly believe that's going to be the case. So you have combat plus intimidation. We talked about that early on the video in the Diplomat and also in the Cyber section about how strong I feel those skills will be in Starfield. So guys, that's basically the entire set of 20. So let's do a TLDR and sum up what I think. So if you haven't been sticking with me for this whole video and you want a TLDR, here's what I think. I think RONIN, I think Diplomat, and I think CYBERNETICIST are probably your 3 best options for your first playthrough. I also think Professor and several other backgrounds may be interesting, for instance, like the Industrialist. So if you really want the top 5 backgrounds in a very easy way, like if you want to actually know the top 5 backgrounds, in my opinion, it's going to be RONIN, CYBERNETICIST, Industrialist, Diplomat, and Professor. I think those are probably the 5 that you should really consider. You need to think if you want a more martial-oriented focus. If so, you're probably going to want to be picking the RONIN or the CYBERNETICIST. If you want to be playing diplomatically and want to be selling and want to be getting an economic kind of empire going, then I would highly suggest that you pick either the Diplomat or the Industrialist. So hopefully this has helped you guys. Please let me know in the comments what you guys think. I plan to make a lot more Starfield content. I really want to focus my channel around RTS and RPG gaming. And yeah, I have a lot of Baldur's Gate free content, so definitely check that out as well. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. It makes a colossal difference for a small channel like me. Again, comment below what you guys think about this. And if you feel like I was right or I was wrong about the specific backgrounds and which background you are going to be playing when you play Starfield for the first day. And yeah, guys, thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.